Hi everyone, welcome you all to Poetry Window. So our first session is on Introduction to Poetry. So we'll identify what is poetry and what is the importance of poetry and the elements of poetry in this session. So what is poetry? So poetry is a literary form that uses rhythmic and aesthetic qualities of language to evoke meanings. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines poetry as a writing that formulates a concentrated imaginative awareness of experience in language and arranged to create a specific emotional response through meaning, sound, and rhythm. So what is the importance of poetry in literature? Poetry reflects cultural values and historical context. Also, poetry conveys deep emotions and personal experiences. At the same time, it provides beauty and enjoyment through language. You will identify this importance of poetry when you go through different kinds of poetry. So next, we have elements of poetry. First one is meter and rhythm. So it's the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. Next, we have rhyming scheme. So it is the ordered pattern of rhymes at the end of lines. Next, we have imagery and symbolism. So imagery is descriptive language that appeals to the senses. And symbolism is using symbols to signify ideas and qualities. So we'll see the historical overview of poetry. So considering this, there are different types of poems and poetry. So first one is narrative poetry. Narrative poetry tells a story. Epics and ballads are examples for narrative poetry. So next we have lyric poetry. Lyric poetry expresses personal thoughts and feelings. So there you can find sonnets and odes. So for example, you can find sonnets from Shakespeare and John Donne. So next we have dramatic poetry. So dramatic poetry is written in the form of a dialogue. So for example, dramatic monologues. So the Canterbury Tales is an example for this this dramatic poetry. So next we have how to analyze a poem. So just reading and reciting a poem is not important. You can't get satisfied with just reading a poem. You can enjoy it, but you have to analyze a poem to understand the overall importance. So first you have to consider the importance of the title. Next, you have to identify the main ideas and messages given through the poem. So there may be one theme or two or three themes in poems. So next we have form and structure. So there you have to examine the poem's layout and stanza arrangement. Also, you have to analyze word choice as well as poet's attitude, and that comes under the language and tone in the poem. So next we have literary periods. You know, in literature, there are different genres of texts. So novels, dramas, poetry, and so on. So poetry is like a branch of great tree literature. So we have different literary periods. So first one is Old English period, where you find early medieval poetry. Then we have Middle English period, where you find poets such as Chaucer. Next, we have Renaissance period. So there you find Shakespeare's sonnets and metaphysical poets such as John Donne. Next, you have Romantic period, where you find William Wordsworth, Coleridge, Mary Shelley, John Keats. So next, you have Victorian era. So finally, you have modern and contemporary period where you find poets such as T.S. Eliot, W.B. Yeats, and Sylvia Plath. And there are more poets. Next, there's an activity for y'all. So, I said earlier, it's just reading and reciting a poem is not important, and you must learn how to analyze a poem. Also, you can try to write poems. So you can experiment with different forms and styles, and also you can engage in poetry readings where you can participate in or listen to recitations. So you will get familiar with different rhyming schemes and forms of poetry. Then also you can get into discussions with your peers, your colleagues, and share your interpretations and insights with us. Also, you can get different perspectives on different poetry from your friends and colleagues. So that's the end of our session today. So thank you everyone, and stay tuned with us.